TARWUK initially was a collaborative duo comprised of two entities, two people that after a while through the collaboration kind of evolved into a collective. We realized that it's not really a name that exists as a third entity, like a third persona, it's more like a condition.
Yeah, and then TARWUK is something that we don't exist outside of. We don't go home after working in the studio, take off our clothes and then become some other people. This is something we live 100% all of the time. How the work is made is, for me, maybe what's the most exciting about it. There's no division of labor. We do everything together, and for the most part, we will work on the pieces themselves at the same time. The whole process evolves really around investigating selfhood. It's about trying to figure out what it is that makes you you, and where is this boundary between where one ends and the other one begins.
Any interaction that we have kind of falls under the umbrella of practice in general. The process is ongoing constantly, but the objects are more of a residue of these experiments, and it's not the goal of our practice or of our intention is not in the objects themselves. It's this evolution of this process of really investigating what it boils down to, like what is selfhood and what is the individuality, what is the collective, what is the collaborative effort.
Yeah, through working and spending so many hours together, we reached a certain level that we really barely use words.
There are definitely things in the art history, recent and ancient, that are very much interesting to us, and we become obsessed with certain things over time. But I would say mostly artists or collectives of artists that have been kind of following the same lines of the collective effort, the erasure of art versus life boundary, and almost like hybrid conglomerates of media, like different genres and different medias. So I wouldn't really specify any individuals or like collectives by naming them, but more like of a wider effort of this
investigation of life.
Yeah.
Where we were raised and when we were raised, that influence us as people and how we carry ourselves in the world.
Of course, there's a whole history of, the avant-garde and post-avant-garde movements from the region where we're coming from that is very much something that we feel that we're just carrying the torch of, or we feel connected, a certain kinship exists.
I feel that we tackle maybe more universal questions. It begins with the two of us, and that desire to sort of dissolve.
Of course, there's results of this exploration, investigation in the material world exists as objects or paintings or sculpture, and there are formal things that are of interest to us, how these relate to each other, how these relate to the world, how when they're made in a private setting of our studio or the environment, when they exit, how they relate to the body, to architecture, to one another. What is the tension between a painting and a sculpture? What is the juxtaposition when someone else enters that relationship? The dichotomy of high art versus the applied arts, the decoration versus object charged with the energy, almost like this sacred object versus a decorative object.